oh, hey, hey, eyes haven't seen, 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 and ears haven't heard, ears haven't heard, ears haven't heard, ears haven't heard. It's getting ready to happen. 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 Let's get out of here.
What is growth? What does the process of growing look like? What does it feel like? Growth is both individual and collective. Growth is necessary and growth is transparent. Growth is vulnerability. Growth is silence. Growth is strength. Growth is courage. Growth is commitment. Growth makes the impossible possible, the unthinkable thinkable, and the dead things come to life. Growth turns I can't into I did. Growth turns I lost into I learned. And growth turns I was rejected into I was protected. Growth uproots. Growth rebuilds, growth heals, and growth restores. Growth shatters insecurities, tears down doubt, and kicks discouragement in the face. Your next is now. Is now. Now.
Welcome to our Freedom Temple Family Emphasis Week. We've been focusing on the family. God bless you. Welcome to our online audience. Like, share, pass it along that we are online and we're here this evening on this dreadful day, thanks to the weather. But God is good. He has blessed us. He's continued and he's going to continue to bless us. Last few weeks ago, we talked about the married couples were here. Very insightful, very good information on marriage. But now, we talking to the singles tonight. Y'all can make some noise, go ahead. We are talking to the singles tonight. And I'm looking for some insightful information, even though I'm not single. I've been married for 20 years, God bless. It'll be 21 in April of this month. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this along to our host, to our special host. We honor our pastor in his absence. We honor our first lady in their absence, in her absence. Well, she's here around here somewhere, but she's coming in as well. We're going to pass this along to our guest host. We have Elder Demond Doris and Sister Tequila Doris. They have been married for over 20 years. They will be here as our guest hosts. God bless you. We receive you. This is your house. Have your way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elder Brown.
Please go ahead.
I was just going to have our panelists introduce themselves. Please share your name if you would like to share your occupation. And we know that they're single, but are they single, never been married, or single and divorced, or whatever, however else you want to describe yourself? And we're going to start with you at the end. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle McGee. I'm a member here of Freedom Temple Church. Pastor Evans is my pastor. I have not been married yet. It's coming soon. Hallelujah. And, my occupation, I am in information systems, and I work for the county.
My name is Quentin Randall. I am 36 years old. I am single, of course. And my occupation is I am the CEO and creative director for QDR Design, which is a graphic design business.
I am Viola Harrell. I'm 37. I'm single, never been married, and I'm a pediatric nurse.
I am Jay Thurston. I am 36. I am divorced, and I am the pastor of Freedom Fellowship Church of God in Christ.
I am Robin. I am owner of Bird Media Group, and I am 29, about to be 30.
I'm Aaron Tolbert. I've been married, divorced a lifetime, and we won't discuss my age.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The first question, I'm going to pose this to, you said you're 29, you're almost 30. I'm going to ask you this because you're the youngest person here on the panel. Okay. Is marriage a priority for you, and why, or why is it not?
Marriage, right now, at 29, almost 30, in a couple of weeks, I would say I'll look at marriage the same as I did when I was 5. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm not really too enthused about it. Marriage will not ever be the end-all, be-all for me. Okay. You know, my goal in life, I would say most times when you grow up, especially in the church, you're expected to meet someone, get married, and then that's kind of the height of your existence as a woman. For me, my existence as a woman comes from what mark will I leave on the earth? What will I do going forward? What is my legacy? Because if it's just my marriage, I feel like in myself I failed.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Anybody else would like to share? We're going to, anyone in the panel that would like to give their perspective?
Marriage is, I won't say it's a priority, because it doesn't take precedence over purpose in my life and what I'm put here on the earth to do, but it is important for it to happen in my life, if that makes sense. So I have other things going on, but marriage is probably right here, if I can be transparent and honest. So I won't say it's a priority, because I do agree with what Robin said in regards to just leaving a legacy and being able to know that I've touched lives since I've been here. But I do want to touch a husband's life.
Anyone else want to answer that? Because I have a follow-up question. Do singles today feel like being married hinders you from being able to, you talked about legacy and leaving your mark on the world, basically. Why do you see marriage as a hindrance to that? And anyone can answer this question. Why does marriage seem like it's a hindrance to being able to achieve what you want to achieve, or leaving that mark, or leaving that legacy, or professionally, personally, whatever it is? Why does marriage, it seems like people see marriage as a hindrance to that now, and why is that?
If marriage is a hindrance, you're in the wrong marriage. Marriage should enhance you. The Bible says, and the two became one. I think it's important for people to realize when you get married, two whole persons marry. And through sanctification and Jesus, they become one. But if your marriage does not allow you to be who you are, I think you're in the wrong marriage.
Anyone else?
That's good. That's good.
Well, repeat the question verbatim for me.
Just why does it appears that some singles see marriage as a hindrance to achieving what they want to achieve in life. And why is that more prevalent now? Is that something new, or has that always been an issue with singles? I haven't been single in 20 years, so I don't know. I'm just asking. So.
I would say one of the main issues is unrealistic expectations. That's it. I think that's one of the main issues that we face, being single, is having those unrealistic expectations, and without saying too much, it being all about me and what I need, as opposed to what we need, how our purposes in line together and how they can enhance each other. It's more about how do you fit with my program, and if you don't fit with my program, then we have an issue or a problem, and so I just think it's unrealistic expectations that hinders a lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, Quentin, please share your thoughts.
Well, I would say so my idea of marriage at 36 versus what it was, I would even say 5 years ago, is completely different. Initially, I did think getting married and settling down, it's like, yeah, you know, you're gonna change, you're gonna do this, but as I'm getting older, I'm more understanding now building that partnership. So as Elder Aaron said, is just being able to, you should enhance more as when you're married. It should be built upon a foundation that's already there.
Viola, did you want to share anything? Or if
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, when we're single, we're not distracted. I'm not saying that our spouses would distract us that much, but I can see why people would feel like that, because you live a life of not being distracted. Then you have a person and their character and what they need. So I can see it both ways.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off of what Aaron said, and basically what you said, Damon and I have talked about how being married it's selfless, and you have to be able to give of yourself. And a lot of times when we're concentrating on building our brand and building who we are as people, we don't have time for it, or we might lose sight of it. But it's like he's my biggest cheerleader and I'm his biggest cheerleader. So it's just like what he's doing, and it's like you have to find that person that you want to cheer for and that would cheer for you. Did you want to share that?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question, because the youngest person on the panel is 29 years old. And I do understand as you get older, your career, takes off. You get more set in your ways personally, professionally. Like, is it harder to, I guess, absorb someone into your life? Do you find that's going to be harder as you get older? And why or why not?
As the old man on the table, it is. Okay. I've been divorced 25 plus years. And had you told me that I would not remarry, I would have said no, I was going to remarry. But as time goes on, you get comfortable with your lifestyle, and you have a lifestyle. I view marriage as being giving, and you should be selfless. And I'm at a point in my life, I don't want to share me like that. Because I do realize marriage is sharing, and there is giving and take. And I always tell people, do it while you're young enough to want to share, while you want to change. Because as you age, it gets worse. In case you're wondering, you think you set in your ways at 20 and 30. Get 40, 50, and 60, and you get more set in your ways.
Yes.
I think it could be a challenge, but it can be overcome if they want it bad enough. The marriage, the person that God has, they've heard from God, no, this is my spouse. This is who I'm supposed to spend the rest of my days with. So I think that's a good question, because I believe it can. I live alone right now. I don't have any children, no dog, anything like that. So I have a routine at home that I'm used to, but I'll make space for him. I mean, because it's what I desire, and it's not like it's out of the picture. So if that answers the question. So I guess it depends on the person.
Okay, so Michelle, now you said that you'll make space for him. Now he comes in. I'm assuming you live alone, so you have things a certain way. He comes in messy, just messing up your house. You making room for that?
Well, I'll have to fast and pray, But it's interesting you mentioned that, because when I first got my condo, my brothers were saying, "You gonna let some man come and move in there, aren't you?" And I said no, because they were already letting me know, you better not let it happen. Mm-hmm. So I would pray that we would be able to move into another home together, because then I won't think this is my kitchen, this is my bedroom, this is my bathroom that I've been a part of all these years. So I definitely would want us to move in a place together.
Yeah, that's good.
What does, and everyone here is in the church, involved in the church. Some are elders, pastors, missionaries. What does being saved and single look like in the church today? How is that?
Difficult.
Okay, why is that?
Difficult. It's hard because in the church world, you have so many eyes, so many rules that you have to follow, right? you're expected to walk this thin line and still meet someone and be your natural self. But in the church world, it's as if we have to put on this perfect perspective and find someone who's still right for us, right? I can't be perfect and still find my someone. I have to be my genuine self. And a lot of times you can't do this, you can't do that. Put a boundary here, put a boundary there. And it's like we have to follow this, we have to follow that, and you stiffen up, right? And then you meet people and you give them that stiff self. So it's very difficult being in the church, dating, because let's be honest, the church world has never taught us how to date. They'll teach us how to be married before they even teach us how to date, and your dating sets your foundation, right? This is what our marriage most likely will be. Now, it's going to change as we grow. People change every day. But if we don't know how to date and have a foundation without so many rules following us, then we're messing up going forward.
Oh, that's good. Wow. Because I would say, and this is going to sound dumb, because one of my church mothers told me, because I was probably a senior in high school, and asked me, was I dating? Leading up to that, they said the saints don't date. So I'm like,
They said saints don't date.
the saints don't date. Okay. So I'm like, so if the saints don't date, how do you? But then now we're in a much different time now, y'all. Because listen, you ain't asking for no cup and you want to go out for some coffee, okay? We ain't asking that. So, but I would say it's hard now in this time. It's very hard to be saved and in the church because people's motives are not pure anymore. They're not, people's people's motives are not pure. People, I'm gonna be with you because of this X, Y, and Z. So it's. And as I've gotten older, my standard has changed. My trajectory of what kind of woman I want to date has changed. I know, it's just changed. Because you got the ones that's in church, been saved, Holy Ghost filled, and I love it. But they don't know how to have fun. Who wants to go bowling on Saturday night? Man, we about to be 40. What we going bowling for? You know what I'm saying? Let's go out and have fun. So yes, dating in church, I would say, is a little bit difficult. But you can have fun though and be saved.
Wow.
I would say, too, it's difficult because everyone's perspective of what dating is different. And just because you grew up in the church doesn't mean you have the same idea of what dating is. So before you even get started, you have to ask someone, how do you date? Because their perspective can be completely different than what yours is. And times have definitely changed. Dating is very difficult, now than it was then. I'm divorced, so I dated when I was 19, 20, 21, got married. And me re-entering the dating pool was, I'm just going to be honest, man, it is scary. Because it is so many things going on. It's like, whoa. So it's just everyone has their own different perspective of what dating is. So you just got to be very upfront and very open and very honest.
I think that's what it is. It's the fear of being open and honest up front. Because in my last relationship, which was one of the best ones I had, I wasn't honest with myself up front. Of showing who I really was. So the perception of what I showed is what everybody else viewed me as. So this is who I showed you. So as the relationship progressed, after a while, she kicked that door down and came on in, and my true self came out. And what happens is this is not really who you are. So now things have changed. You're not that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In 1912 when we dated,
My God.
let me tell you, dating hasn't changed substantially. You might think it has. When you're young, you're dating, you must set expectations and limitations. You walk to the party and say, this is my comfort zone. We do not want to cross this comfort zone. I always told growing up, I remember dating, and there was a couple of times, and I was very careful. I always tried to date girls that were saved. And people said, why? I said, because there were some times when I would be weak, and there was times she was weak. Normally, we were blessed of God. It didn't happen the same day. So we both knew what our limitations were and our expectations. You understand that one? We both understood what we could and could not do. And there were days I buttoned pants up, and there was days she buttoned up pants. And people don't realize. So I want you to know. Yeah. So no, the human body, it has changed. People say, oh, it's changed, but you have to put expectations. Because otherwise, if you don't, you'll cross over bridges. And unfortunately, once you start crossing those bridges, because of our religious belief and our limitations or our barriers, then you feel guilty and you want to marry someone. It's a mess up in the beginning.
Yeah. Now, I was going to save this till later in the conversation, but since we're on dating, I'm going to read a few quotes. It came out about a year and a half ago, and I'm sure some of you guys heard it. This was a message to Dale Curry when he was entering he was going through a divorce, and someone sent him several tweets.
Steph Curry's daddy.
Okay, yes, Steph Curry's dad. Okay, so you think you want to be out here because you're not out here. Last time you was out here was different. Right? Okay. You're going to be wearing a Hottie t-shirt by Thanksgiving. You better ask your wife to forgive you. You better go listen to Lemonade and pray about it. You don't want to be out here because you don't have the cholesterol to be out here.
Not the strength. You don't have the strength.
You do not. Do you even know what group chat is? Well, you better learn because you finna be the subject. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. These people are children of Rihanna and born in the fires of chaos. This is just a few of the 3 pages I have of his warnings.
I remember.
So I just want to know, is it really that bad out here?
It is really that bad.
It is tainted
You're talking
out
about
here.
the
It is
Dating.
really
I'm not sure.
Let me cuff the mic like I'm preaching. It is really that bad.
What's
Yes,
so
it
bad?
is.
I guess I haven't dated in 20
Come on,
years.
Reverend. Talk about it.
Going
Talk about
back to your perspective of dating. Okay, so for example, your perspective of dating could be going out on different dates, collecting data, information, trying to get to know
Deep, Reverend. All right.
who it is that will be special enough for you to, say, okay, we're going to be in a one-on-one relationship. His perspective of dating is we're private, which means that we're not going out in public, but you can come over, right? Her perspective of dating is we go together real bad, so it's just me and you. Like, it's nobody else.
This is
like, I better not see you texting. I know we just met, but it's all us, okay? So there's 3 different perspectives going on. That's why I said it's important for you to get, understanding up front. Okay, because it's like a talking phase, it's like a half dating phase, it's like a we serious phase, it's like 6 different phases, So it's completely, that's why I said it's completely different, and going back to what he said, how comfortable are you showing who you really are in the beginning? Because that's a huge problem. With dating nowadays, everyone has a facade that they put up. I mean, I even had it, and I had to check myself because when I told people I was a preacher, some were turned off, some were turned on. So what I started doing was let them get to know me, then say, hey, I want you to come see what I do. So if I had a revival that I was preaching, or if I had something, going on, I would say, hey, I want you to come to this address and blah, 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 blah. And some would come in, and they would see me up, and they'd be like, oh, my God, no. And then others would be like, oh, my God, yes. But it was either yes or no for the right or wrong reasons. And it was a facade that I put up. I didn't want them to know right off the bat that I was a preacher because they automatically assumed one thing or the other. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to be comfortable within myself to say, okay, wait a minute. Even though I'm not lying or, doing something crazy out here, I still have to be honest up front. You know what I'm saying? And so dating is, everyone has a completely different perspective on dating. And if you don't get it up front or learn it up front, you're going to be in a world of trouble because, it's going to get crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's ghetto out here. If you don't have to come out, don't come out in these streets. Don't do it. Stay home. Stay home. Like the tweets say, stay home. It's ghetto. Because especially when you come with standards, for myself, I'll have standards and then I'll add tax to my standards because you're not just going to bring anything to me and think I'm going to accept it. And in a generation where we're accepting everything and anything, you have to, like I said, you have to set your standards and then add more tax on it. Because if someone steps to me and they can't communicate, well, you might as well go back home. If I can't trust you, just pack your stuff up, let's go. Because when you date, you're trying to find out who's right for me, right? And if you're not right for me, in the first 30 seconds, if you're not right for me, if you're not talking right, if you can't step to me correctly, then I will step beside you.
Red flags look like Six Flags in the beginning. All right.
I love what Robin just stated, standards and adding tax. So the question was, what does single and saved look like in the church now? Is that what's the question?
That was an earlier question, but you can go ahead and answer that. That's fine.
I think about, because my mother had like 2 generations of children. My older brothers and sisters are old enough to be my parents. So their generation, in a sense, it seemed like it was easier for them to date. One sister is still married to her boyfriend from high school, her guy from 16 years old. So I'm thinking, like, why is it so different now? It's just different. It's so different now. I think about, and I hate to sound, speak for myself and for friends or ones who I know, and I hate to sound so religious, but we are bringing the world into the dating for the single, the saved, the ones in the church. What's different? It looks exactly the same. What's different? Yes, they have some have no standards. I'm just speaking generally. No standards. You're doing the same thing. You let them call you after midnight. You let them text you after midnight because you want a date, because you want someone. How is it different? We have to have a different standard. And it gets hard because they think about, even in my situation, okay, is that standard keeping me single? No, I don't think so. But the world, or even some in the church, will say your standards are keeping you single, Michelle. Just go out and do this and do that and do this. But I can't. My conscience, I've tried it and it doesn't work. And then I have my younger nieces or someone watching me, and I can't just do anything. So yes, I think also there's no accountability. The accountability is not there. We need accountability. It doesn't have to be a whole slew of people. One person who we keep ourselves accountable to, maybe another married person who we respect, but have a difference. So the single and saved in the church is radically different from when my sisters grew up. But I think accountability should be there and not just bringing in the world standards. If that makes sense.
You said it. We raising the children of Rihanna. I mean, and I don't mean, I'm not talking about her specifically, but I'm saying the music, the society has heavily influenced what dating is. And like you said, standards. It's good to have standards. It's great to have standards, but there's 1,000 who don't. So if you have standards, more than likely you're going to be, just being honest, passed up because you got standards, and someone else's standards are more relaxed than yours, and I mean, it's terrible, but
No, I want to say, so all of us, we work, we serve in the church. Like, we pour into people every day. And we don't have anybody when we go home to, like, fill our cups up. So I don't understand why, like, people like us are not more, I guess, like, coming together to support one another. I would like to see that, because if we don't have one another, we are going to go out in the world.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Good point.
I have a question, and you mentioned earlier, like you're 30 plus years old, and you don't want to go bowling on a Friday night. And I understand that, because I wouldn't want to go bowling on a Friday night. I mean, that's something younger people do. What does a sophisticated saved date on a Friday night look like? if you're single, because a married date's gonna be different than a single date. So what is a saved date? It's Friday night. What does a saved single night date look like?
Well, I'd like to know. Well, so
Skating.
I'm sorry, skating?
I love skating.
Well, I date high-value men, so they'll invite me to their restaurant and prepare,
Excuse me, what's a
dinner.
high-value man? I wonder what that is.
Wealthy men, pilots, different types of men.
Go ahead, I like
Celebrity,
that.
yes. So yeah, just
she
like
said it.
private events where it's not, too late, but they cook for me or have their chef prepare meals for me, or just going going to the opera or something. That's good.
I guess I am old. In my days, you did what people enjoy doing. And if you were in the theater, you went theater. We went bowling, roller skating, go see the dance troupe of Harlem, or go see a museum opening. I think in dating, you should date people that enjoy doing the things you do. Because to blend two lives is interesting up front, but you want people to have common interests, you're not going to be the same person. But if I enjoy filet mignon and you want McDonald's every time, it's going to be a problem. Now, I can eat McDonald's, but not on a constant basis. And you might want filet mignon, but we must have some common ground. Otherwise, you're asking for disaster.
I agree with your point with the common ground as far as, especially with tastes like that. But Damon and I, he calls me a nerd. I am a closeted nerd. And he loves sports and stuff. I can care less. But if he wants to go to a basketball game, I go to a basketball game. If I want to go to a museum, he goes to the museum. So it's give and take, and I feel like you're not going to always agree on everything, but you should be mindful of your partner and mindful of what it is, because it's not all about you, as much as you want it to be, but it's not all about you. Quentin, were you going to say something? I thought I saw a microphone go up. Okay. But did you want to?
Yeah, I have another question. What does commitment look like when you're single? Because you're not married yet, you're not engaged, and you said one person thinks dating is this, one person thinks dating is that. So when you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, or if it even gets that far, I don't know what they even call it today, what does commitment look like when you're single?
Well, you put in effort and you share your time with somebody, because time is precious. We all are busy. A lot of us are business owners and stuff. So if I spend my time with you, it's because I really, really want to do that. And then just being honest with the person, letting them know who you are up front and asking those difficult questions, and then you get a better result.
Commitment is vulnerability.
Wow, okay.
Can you say that again?
Commitment is vulnerability. It's bringing your authentic self and saying, here's my flaws, here's my fears, here's everything about me, and saying, I'm still willing to do life with you.
You only 29?
I'm only 29.
You'll be 30 in a couple weeks, though.
But it's being able to just break down your walls, because we all come with walls. We all come guarded. It's being able to move past that and just enjoying the good, bad, and the ugly.
Ooh, you wrote this.
And,
At what point do I show the ugly?
At what? Well, that's a
Beginning.
man of God.
In the beginning.
At what point do I not show the ugly.
At what point do you show the ugly?
Because normally when you're dating, it's like honeymooning. When you're
Yeah,
dating, I
yeah.
want to show you the best I am. I asked a
So
married
when you
couple,
make the-
when you were
See?
dating, did you want to show each other your best?
Yeah,
You didn't want to show your bad part, did you?
yeah.
So when do you show the bad part? When you get married? So, okay, so if I can
Yeah,
just,
see, this.
What you just said, when you both make a decision that we're going to be committed to this, so we're blocking everything out, right? So at this point, it's me and you. I think at that point, that's when you become vulnerable and start to share everything about you that you might not have wanted to share on the first, second, or third date, right? So that's when you start saying, okay, now this is that, or whatever, and they begin to see things because, the closer you get, the more intimate you become. And, intimacy, of course, is not, sexually, or physical. Intimacy is when you start to become, into me, And so you start spending that one-on-one time. And going back to dating, you do dates, where you go, see museums or live music or whatever. It's when I'm getting into what you enjoy, you're getting into what I enjoy, and we're doing that talking and that communication, and you're starting to learn more about me. I think that's when you show the person all sides of you. When you decide, okay, this is us at this point, and now we're building towards marriage, not just chilling. We're building towards marriage is when you can see all of me.
I like the way you phrased the question because you said, what does commitment look like when you're not married, right? You're
Right.
just dating.
Right.
I think of consistency, being consistent. You say you're going to call, being dedicated, having integrity. That's all a part of being committed to it because you're not legally bound to the person. They technically can go back to someone else if they don't like it. But I think being consistent and having integrity and being dedicated to seeing it through and making it work.
Yeah, Elder Talbert, Aaron asked earlier, like, what did it look like to us? I can only speak for myself. I know for me, when I was single, and I saw her, I was attracted to her, and I wanted to date her. But I felt like, this is one time I'm going to go into this thing completely vulnerable. I'm not going to put up any fronts. I'm not going to, no game, no nothing. I'm just going to be Damon, be the most open and vulnerable Damon I can be. Now, that doesn't mean I showed her all the bad stuff in the beginning, but I think when the bad stuff, the negative things about me came out, I didn't try to hide it or cover it up. Right. And if she was able to accept that, I was like, okay, she's accepting it. She's working through it with me. I think she could be a wife. Because I think marriage commitment doesn't happen after marriage. Marriage commitment happens before marriage. That's why you ask someone to marry you, because you decided that you're going to be committed.
At what point did you know she was the one? What made you know Tequila Walls was the one?
I wouldn't say it was one thing. There's two incidents that come to mind. We just talked about this the other day. You were at school, and you said a guy approached you, and I asked you, well, what did you tell him? You told him that I'm in a very serious relationship, and then you said, am I? And I said, yes, you are. You're in a very serious relationship. And then, I can't remember what the second, it was another incident. I can't remember exactly. But like, it was just things like that. It's like, okay, I don't have to, it was like, I was working in corporate America at the time I started my career. Like, I can't be up under you all the time. I can't be around you 24/7. Like, I was not a high value man. I want to become one. I'm in my 20s, so I'm working hard to become one. I was like, is she going to be able to accept that I can't spend every day with her? Is she going to be able to accept that I can't be with her 24 hours a day? Because I'm trying to build a life for myself and hopefully include her in that one day. And she seemed to be supportive of that. And she didn't make me feel like I couldn't trust her. Like, okay, if I'm not there, what's she doing? I never felt that with her. So I think it was things like that that made me realize this is a wife. She was acting like a wife before she became one. So I think that's those kind of things. Because, I proposed in 8 months, 9 months.
I love that.
And we'll be 20 years in April. So I think it was just those kind of things.
It don't take long to know, Reverend. That's it.
Okay, Shay, how about you?
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's her nickname, Shay, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we had a conversation the other day, and he said, "Well, What is it about me that I say, I saw my dad in you. And my father was a man. And it's just like, and he was the first man I dated. And when I say man, like, you grown, but are you a man? Are you about your business? Or do you have drive? What do you have? Like, you don't have to come to the table with everything. We can get this thing together. I can help support you to get it. And I think for me, what I hear like a lot of women are expecting, and I know it's different once you get older, but a lot of girls now are expecting these guys to come to the table with everything. And I'm like, and what do you bring into the table?
Nothing.
And so for me, I saw a man that was driven, that was hardworking, and dedicated.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I appreciate. Thank you so much. I didn't. Wow.
Oh, that was good. But that's
Actually, I have a question on Facebook, and it's from your pastor. Pastor Evans wants to ask, is there such a thing as the one? And anybody can answer that. Is there such a thing as the one?
I believe so.
2 or 3 or 4. What gathers his
I
name?
guess
don't
we
know.
have to define what the one is. Is it just
Your
the-
soulmate, the one that's made for you, the perfect person for you, is how I would define it. Or you can define it for yourself.
For me, I would say no. I think you learn who's for you through trial and error.
Wow, okay.
You meet a true person when you're able to go through some things with them and still look up and say, oh God, you get on my nerves. But if you weren't here, I would be heartbroken. You know, that's when you learn, I guess,
Is that the
who's
one for you?
Right,
Is that-
who's for you. You just don't, oh my God, this is the person for me. God told me that you were going to be married and this and that. No. Because if you come to someone like that, then it's automatic like, but the Lord didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
Right? Right. So you learn through just walking through life with someone, finding someone you're into that you just maybe aren't in love with at that moment, but you cannot see your days without. And then you fall in love as you go through it.
Okay.
You don't have to be in love.
I mean, you can love them.
Some of these folks
you
is
can
married
like 'em
in
real,
love, so I
real heavy, but I don't think you really know you're in love with someone until you've been through something with someone.
One of the chats I just read when you all were looking down, and they said, you don't know people until you really marry them and live with them.
That's true.
There was a comment.
This
You-
is
it was a,
why.
she said, you don't know them. And I think that there's some truth in that. Someone said best, and if you want to be friends, because there are times when your mate can get on your nerve, but your friendship says, I'm going to tolerate you because you are my friend, and I value you as a friend.
You want to kick him in his back.
And it,
You want to kick him in his back.
it's violent. And it also goes along with your purpose. So I think that there is someone that is specifically tailored for you. But I think it has more to do with what you carry, you know, who God created you to be and your purpose and your destiny, because I don't believe just anyone can help you with what you carry.
Come on.
Can help you with reaching your God-given destiny and your assignment that God has placed you here for on earth. It takes a special person to understand that and to understand that process. And so I do think that God specifically made someone who can help you carry that load.
Maybe it's the romantic in me, but I do believe in the one. I think of the examples in my life, my mother and father. They were married over 60 years. He was supposed to be her husband. She was supposed to be his wife. She was supposed to bear the 10 children. She was the one for him until death did them part. I think about my sister, who's the same one who got married in her 20s, but they were together since 16. And I look at those examples, those are beautiful to me, and maybe that's all I can go on, because we are shaped many times. I will hear bishops say, by our experiences, Bishop Marshall, God rest his soul. So I remember that. So that's my experience of seeing that, and I just believe in the one for the person. Maybe if, God forbid, if the person passes away, could it be someone else? Yes, I believe that too, but I do believe in the one.
I was just going to add to that, like, I believe in it too, but I think of it in a different way. Like, there is the one, and that's the one that actually hears from God and follows God's voice. Because a lot of us have been told, oh, that's your husband over there, that's your wife or whatever. But if they don't receive that, even if God told them that, then that wasn't the one then. So it's the one who actually hears from God and, like, goes after that person.
Now, I have a question about the one. Is it maybe we don't necessarily as women know off the bat that he is the one, but is it more so on the man to spot she is the one? Because Damon can share something with you, and I turned Damon down twice.
And he stayed?
She wasn't that smart.
But with the help of somebody on this stage, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
We got it together, but I turned him down twice because I was over some things, and so
You had some bad boyfriends. Tell the truth.
I'm not going to discuss past relationships.
Well, no, but I joke, but that's saying though, when you're single or not single, you do bring past relationships
Yeah,
to
you
the
carry that
relationship
baggage.
you're in.
See?
And oftentimes, we as people tend to make the current person pay for the mistakes and sins of the former person.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Damon, do you believe in the one?
Well, the safe answer is yes. Yeah, I don't. Well, you know, when I at Old Freedom Temple, when I first saw you, I told you I felt something I'd never felt before. And it wouldn't go away. So I tried, you know, she wouldn't talk to me. I approached her, she wouldn't talk to me. I approached her again, she wouldn't talk to me. So you know what, skip her, I'm gonna do my own thing. But nothing really, I just couldn't get her out of the back of my mind. So I was like, man, I gotta try this one more time. I was like, I'm done dating, I'm gonna be single, no, don't call me. I even told one, I was dating this one girl, and I told her, I was like, I gotta break this off because I think I'm in love with someone that won't talk to me. And she's like, what? And I was like, I don't know what it is. Like, I gotta find out. And if nothing happens with this, that's fine. But like, I gotta find out. Like, I just gotta find out. So I was like nothing for like months, which was unusual for me. I mean, no phone. I'd come home, the answer machine ain't blink, nothing. No voicemails, nothing. I was like, man, I'm not used to this, you know. And then I'm calling him Uncle Aaron tonight. Uncle Aaron did something where she finally called me. You know, and my father had to talk, and I was like, my pride, like, man, I'm not talking to her. I mean, I tried to talk to her 2 times, blah, blah, blah. But my father was like, boy, you know you're waiting for that girl to call. You better, you know. So, and then ever since then, we've been married 20 years in April. So, praise God. But do I believe there's a one? In my experience, yes. Yeah, I do. I never felt anything like that before. And I don't know if I'd ever feel it again.
And this is a testament that the man does feel it first.
Yeah, and
When you first saw her, something in your spirit leaped, and it would not leave you alone.
Right.
You know, and I think that, you know, it does start with the man. You know, maybe I'm being too traditional, but we are the head. You know, we are meant to be leaders. We are called to be leaders. And so if we're going to be called to be leaders and called to be the head, then yeah, it begins with us.
That leads me to another question.
But before you go
Okay,
there,
go
I
ahead,
just
go
want to say,
ahead. I
Pastor
don't want to forget this
Anderson, that's where I was trying to go. When it goes to the Bible, the man finds the wife. Wives or potential wives, we need to put ourselves in the way sometimes, but the man finds the wife.
And obtaineth favor.
Right, to me, the Bible has never steered me wrong. So it's always, so go ahead.
Well, my question is, do these modern women want to be led?
Yes, we do, but we want to be led by the one who's being first led by God and not his flesh and not his attitude and not what he wants, you know. He's being led by the Spirit. So we don't mind, you know, submitting if he's submitted to God, though.
I want to be led. Real no, seriously. I mean, I'm making decisions and at home, and it gets overwhelming at times if I can be transparent. And God did not make me a man. I was born with a man. I have a male twin, but I'm not a man. I'm a woman. And so, yes.
In the words of my grandmother, don't no woman want no weak-kneed man.
Come on now.
So, and this is something that I learned in my last relationship. Y'all gonna see me probably make reference to that quite often. Learn how to, because my past didn't, not when I say past, my former and my, how I grew up, my childhood, let me say there. My views on women didn't allow me to, I don't say not allow, I didn't do well leading because I saw what my mother went through. So I was like, no, you just do what you do, you do what you do. 'Cause that's what I grew up, my mom led. My mom did this, so and I didn't want to come off as being this misogynistic, overbearing, but that's what I ended up turning into. I ended up turning into that because I felt that's what it meant to lead. But then dealing with somebody that's headstrong, this is my show. What happens is, when it comes to submission thing, she was ready. But you have to show me that you can lead. If you can show me you can lead, then we can go. But if you can't, nah, dog. So, but yeah, men can lead. But these modern day women, a little tricky. What you looking at me for? Go ahead and speak, daughter.
We want to be led. We want that, right? But
I'm sorry, we have a question from the audience.
If you can come up, maybe. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, that's good. Say that again, Reverend.
Okay.
Say that again.
What if the one dies? The one that you thought was the one, because I've been engaged 4 times. So, and the one died. I met her in 3 months, 6 months. She's 8 months. She was gone. Okay, while we were engaged. So, what if the one dies? The one that you thought was the one.
Panel, do you have an answer for that?
I'm single.
When I was referencing the one, I was speaking about more so after they've gotten married. That's what I was referring to. God forbid, then someone becomes a widow, then they're allowed to marry someone else. But I'm speaking of after they get married.
Okay.
Not in regards to your situation with being engaged or what have you.
There are how many billion of people on earth? And so I believe that the scripture says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. I believe that there's a right person for you. I also believe that God can put another person in your path to meet and exceed the other one's expectations. Right. Throughout the Bible, when people die, they found other mates. Some of my friends that are happily married was married to someone else. They died or got divorced, and they were able to find another mate that they're ecstatic. And I know someone says, I was happy the first time, but this second one brought me joy.
I agree with that, but I would also add to that, without going too much into it, the timing of God is critical. It's very critical. That's why, with your life, you can't play with it. With your life, you can't waste time, because timing is critical.
We have a question from Facebook, and then we have a question in the audience. It says, does God have someone for everyone? Anyone want to take that?
I believe that he has someone for those that desire someone. Yeah.
I definitely believe so. I think that's in the scriptures, isn't it? There's someone for everyone that wants someone.
Okay, so you believe there is someone for everyone. From my perspective, I feel like it isn't. If you just look at Paul didn't have anyone. And did he even want anyone?
No. Paul said, how would you not? So that you can devote yourself
There you go.
to the faith.
Reverend, but most of us are single. Are we really devoting ourselves to the faith?
Right.
Are we really? Are we single and giving God our very all we can?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it's God's permissive will that we get married and that we find someone. And if you're going to find someone, he allows you to find someone who's able to handle what he's already placed inside of you. But it's his permissive will. It's not mandatory that you get married.
This is true.
So if it's not mandatory that you get married, then there is a notion that you can be by yourself for the rest of your life.
Yes.
But my question a little farther for you is, when Paul said that we should, if you stay single, and you said it earlier, but to give of yourself to the gospel, are singles today single and giving God all they can? Are they single because Mr. Right or Mr. Wrong ain't come along?
I think it could be both. I'm single. I love God. I'm pastoring, but I desire to be married. I have friends who's the same and do not desire to be married because they enjoy doing what they do without, like you said, having to be selfless. They can completely throw themselves into their work. They can completely throw themselves into their careers. They can completely throw themselves into the ministry. And they don't have to worry about calling home and say, hey, baby, I'm going to be home a little late tonight. And so that desire for them is not there, So I think it's both. Some people who are single just hadn't met the one yet. And then others who are single don't want to meet the one.
All right, we have another question from the audience. It is Associate Pastor Roger Walls.
My question is, have the right one come along and you missed it?
Woo! See, that's, I felt that in my spirit. Ooh, Lord.
That's a question.
I'm sorry.
That's a question there.
I'm sorry.
Has the right one come along and you've missed it?
I'm going to just say in general.
I should have been married like that.
Maybe. But you never really know. I feel like what's for you is for you. Just like they said, she passed him up twice.
And he came back.
And look how time has changed it. Right. Yeah, that was, ooh, Lord, bless their heart. But I think whatever's for you, if he passes now or if she passes now, if it's meant for you, you can do a full circle back around, right? Because you just never know what can be. The only time you lose hope in love is when you're gone.
That's good, right?
That's it. If you lose hope in love while you're here, then I think you just lose hope in life. So you always have to, if you're single, you always have to keep just a small bit of faith that you can find love out there and not just be by yourself, if you want it. If you don't, bless your heart. Do
Girl,
what you
you
feel,
been
but
watching?
keep your faith.
Somebody coming to a wedding soon?
No.
And I think too, we can't negate, if we are saved, then, we have to be led by the Spirit of God as well.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that we stay in his will. And what I was talking about is, like you said, have we missed it? If you're in the will of God, then you can't miss what's for you. Had he listened, because I'm sure at times you were like, okay, she ain't giving me no play, but I got 4 others that are. Had he not listened to himself or listened to the God inside of him, that gave him the leap when he first saw her, he would have left that and he could have potentially aborted everything that God was going to do for him in the future because he allowed his emotions and his flesh to get him out of the will of God. I think that it's important because we're single, but we're still saved, that we follow the leading of the Holy Ghost. And us as men, he'll put her in your path. And then as women, he'll make sure you're seen.
And that's why I said earlier that the one is the one who listens, because we have to humble ourselves. Like, if you want what God wants for you, that's just what you're going to have to do. So I agree.
This kind of piggybacks. One of our female listeners on Facebook asked, "What is an example of putting yourself in the way to be found?" I guess this goes to one of the ladies. How do you put yourself in the way to be found?
Before they answer, I do want to say, I want to go back to what Bishop Marshall would say. He said, women need to dress more provocative. Did he say? I'm not saying, you know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, what's the
Now,
habit?
we looking like the mothers of the church.
Unless you want to follow.
That was the bishop. You can't argue with the words of the bishop.
So, ladies, what is an example of putting yourself in the way to be found? What is an example of that?
Come on,
I don't look. If they don't come to me, I'm not. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
There have been guys that made passes. He came to me and said, "Okay, Aaron, can I have word tonight?"
Can we cut my mic?
This is true. I've seen guys come to me and say, "Can I have her number?" And I always ask, and this is her words: if they cannot come to me direct, he's not the one. Is that not true?
I agree with that.
I raised it right.
That's true. You didn't have to out me, though. You didn't have to do it, but you did.
More than once.
But, ooh. Made me lose my train of thought. I'm lost now. But honestly, in those moments, I was just being myself. So I think if I bring my genuine self to wherever I am, it'll light up a room. I can step into a room silently. Like most times, I was walking through the hallway of Freedom Temple when they approached them. Said nothing to anyone. I'm just walking through. So I guess my presence, it's how you carry yourself, it's how you present, even without saying a word. And I guess that will attract who you need at that time. If I come and I'm so depressed, I'm single and sad about it, then I will attract misery. If I say I'm happy and single, I will attract happy and single. If I want to be healthy and have a healthy relationship, then I have to walk those steps and present myself in that way. If I present myself with daddy issues, I'm going to get a man that's going to have to cater to those daddy issues. If I present myself as independent, I will, quote unquote, get an alpha male. But I also have to, in getting an alpha male, I also have to learn how to change with my surroundings.
So you're saying the law of attraction. You're putting out what you're going to get back.
Yes.
And
because if you try too hard, you'll come off as thirsty.
yeah, and then confidence goes a long way. And I'm going to say that confidence, ladies, hold your head up, and walk with some, with some pride and, okay, I am that, and then some, regardless of the kind of day you're having. Because I think men are attracted to confident women. You're not stuck up. You don't have to have your nose in the air, but stuck up. The question is, though, you're asking the ladies, maybe you should ask the men, what is it that you notice from women? If you're saying, if she wants to know how can she get in the way to be noticed, what would you notice as a man?
The first, me, when I walk, I look at that, if you're illuminating, that's the first thing I see, if you stick out. And oftentimes, it's the way you carry yourself. You dress nice? That's the first thing I'm looking at.
Men tend to be visual.
We are visual.
And so we tend to notice the outward appearance, the whole body, the movement, the comfort level, and that's tend to get our attention first.
Yeah.
And then once we get beyond the visual, then we want to get to know the mind and all that. But most of the time, for most of us, it is visual, especially if we don't know you. Now, we know you might be different, but we tend to be visual.
Very visual.
And so if a woman wants to date, get attention, walk the room. Walk in with your head high.
Confidence.
Give me something.
Man, confidence.
In the words of my late mama, give them something to look at.
That's right.
I'm going
But
to go
I
a step
would-
further. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would rather give him something to feel than to look at. I would rather give him something to feel than to look at.
But I agree, feeling might come later, but I'm going to look at you first.
You want him to get to the point where he wants to get to your feelings.
Yeah, because we'll look at you first.
But that's the problem.
It's visual for us.
It's basic
But
science.
people dress depression. Do you not understand that? Like they wear it, but they look great, but they're on the inside. It's nothing there.
Okay.
he'll keep it moving.
Question on that. What do you mean? Let's get context on what you mean by something to feel. What do you mean?
So the feeling of like my inner glow or whatever, like that's what I meant. Not like looking at an outfit or a hair. Like that doesn't matter.
I agree.
No,
Inner glow comes
we
later.
agree with what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
But we're just saying we're visual
Initially,
first.
yeah.
So if the confidence ain't there, if you don't dress nice, like you said, we're visual. So to be honest,
Right.
if your body ain't there, whatever we like, preference, everybody likes something different.
Right.
Then we're gonna keep moving. But in order to get to that point, we have to like what we see. And I will go a step further, and this is just me personally. If I see you in church and you on your phone the whole time, and I don't see you worshiping, I don't see you engaged in service, then I'm kind of uninterested too.
So you're looking for a pastor's wife?
I'm not looking for a
No,
pastor's wife. I don't want
I understand what you're
someone
saying.
like that. But what
I
I'm
understand
saying
what you're
is, at the end of the day, we are single and saved. And if you come to church and I don't see you engaged in service,
Right.
that's an issue.
And speaking from a man's perspective, like I think we're very simple. Men are very simple, especially in the beginning. Like we grow and get more complicated, I guess, as we get older. We get more mature as we get older. But men are just we're simple. At first, it's visual. It's something. Like you said, every man has his preference. Every man. I don't know what's visual for me is different for him, and But we're in the beginning we're visual. Like expecting someone to see that, a man especially to see that initially is just unrealistic. It's just not going to happen. We're simple. I mean, and I think sometimes single women or women in general tend to think we're in a lot of ways, ladies, we're just not as complicated. We're just not in some ways we're just not as smart as you are. We just aren't. Men are, we're not. We're simple, and I think and that's something about men you're just gonna have to accept. As you develop a relationship, yes, if we love you, we want to get to know you. We want to support you. We want to get in those trenches with you and figure life out with you. But expecting that in the first 2, 3, 4, 10, 12, 20 dates ain't gonna happen.
I remember hearing my
It's not gonna happen.
father at the time. He was probably in his late 70s or 80s at the time, and he said, a man wants to see a Coca-Cola shape. That's what they. And it doesn't have to always be a Coca-Cola, but he was letting me know that they're visual, and they see. They want to see.
Some men want to see a 2-liter too.
No, I was talking about shape, but he was referring to a man. He's still visual, even at his age. He was still a man is attracted
But
to.
see, that's my thing. Like, I know, but I just don't understand men. Like, what exactly? I mean, it's just flesh at the end of the day. Like, that's all it is. I mean, that's fine, but it has to be something else. And that's,
save or not.
But see, that's why you got divorced. And
No,
a lot
but
of
no,
people get
but I'm
divorced
telling
and you
you,
being led
flesh,
by that.
no,
Is what I'm
flesh
saying.
move men.
I'm
not being funny.
It moves us
And I'm not saying that to be funny to you people. People say, we are visual. So we look at the visual things and then we decide, is it worth me getting to know more?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of that. What I'm going to say is, I think as women, we tend to project what we want the men to want from us onto them. They're, like he said, they are simple creatures. If you put more onto it, you're going to make life much more complicated, more drama. You don't have to do all that. Just accept the man for what he is, because you want him to accept you for who you are, right? Because for us, looks may not matter as much. It's like, and the thing is, can you provide for me? Can you provide a lifestyle for me, or whatever the case may be? That's what's important. A man doesn't care if we can provide for them. What he wants is something that he can look at, and he wants respect at the end of the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but I think at the end of the day, and I think if we just accept that for what it is, initially they want some eye candy, and if they like what they see, then they'll pursue. So,
But let's be honest about it too. We also look.
That's right.
someone said smell good.
Smell.
She said
good.
some
They
white
want you to
diamonds.
Smell good.
But let's be honest about it. We also look at the appearance first. I'm gonna say I do, because even with some men, I'll say who will have the right amount of ugly, right? And you have to look at the right amount of ugly. You have to look at them just a little bit, right, to see if you like them. They have the right amount of ugly. Like, I just have to look at you for just a little while just to see if I'm into you or not.
You wow.
But we look at appearances first. I'm not looking at your heart before you walk across the room. I'm looking, I like your arms. Even with save, we still can go, we still look with our eyes, with our quote-unquote flesh, right? I think that we can't just put it off on men, like, why do men always look at the flesh? I'm looking from your shoes to your head before you even walk up to me. If I don't like what I see, I'm going to just give you a God bless. Yeah, a God bless. And usher you around.
All
Right, how you doing, brother? I'm going to hit you with the, I'm your godly sister, you know? So I don't think we can just put it off on them.
Anybody want to add?
This was good. This was good.
I had another question from Facebook.
Okay.
And this one is for the women. Do single women in the church run after the minister or the elder and pass up on the average guy? Do they even give the average guy sitting in the pew a chance?
Wait, what?
You have your give and take. I guess it depends on what that woman is looking for. Yeah. For myself, I'm a runaway, because it comes with a lot of things that we're not ready for. We see the title, we see the power, we see the control, right? But you're not looking at, once he's done preaching, you have to be there with him. It's almost like when a boxer gets out the ring, he's tired. You have to be that support system. And not a lot of women are ready to be a support system to their opposite, right?
That's a whole...
We look at a man and say, I need you to do this, this, and this. Once they leave where they are, once they leave that outside world, they have to come in and shed that strength and just be vulnerable with you, just be soft.
You're doing your good talking. That's good. You're doing your good talking.
That's good. I mean, that's good, though.
I done taught you something.
Hand it to you.
Any other ladies want to answer that, or
I would agree.
she says no? Does it matter to anybody else?
No, I would agree with what Robert said. I also believe it depends on the woman. If she's in what state she is in her life, possibly. I don't know if I heard someone specifically stated that they were running after a pastor or a preacher. Maybe it is. I haven't heard it personally. They may,
Grand Old Church.
But I think, so the motives are wrong in that case. And if it's starting off wrong, sadly, it may end wrong. So, I'm not looking for that. No, not specifically, no. A man of God who has integrity, who's going to pay when he goes through the tollway, and not just ride through.
I ain't paying mine, okay?
Integrity is important to me.
Yeah, you said it. I was gonna say that too. It's the integrity. Like I mean, yes, I'd say that earlier that I date high value, but that's because that's all that that attracts me. But I would date anybody. Like I would have anybody, no matter what his position was in the church, because I mean, as long as you're serving God's people, I'm looking at the heart and what your intentions are. So unfortunately, a lot of women are attracted to the collar and all of that stuff. But I think it's really based off of their insecurities and them not, they want to be attached to him and be like his behind the scenes person or whatever, but they're not ready to handle what he actually carries. So yeah, I just think that a lot of people should just choose not based off of position, but based off of like how a person really is.
Okay,
No integrity, he don't cheat.
okay.
If he has no,
Black men don't cheat.
He said if he doesn't have any integrity,
He's going to cheat.
the minister. Anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Black men don't cheat, sir. We don't cheat.
black men don't cheat. Yeah.
Okay. We still have a couple. Okay, do you want to do the theory or do you want to do the question?
Let's do the question in the theory.
Okay, so we skipped a question. We really got into the dating part. How do you find purpose in your singleness?
Ah, that's a good time. Go ahead, Mother.
Sound like you want the answer, Dwayne.
I love that question, and because purpose is so important. I believe, practically speaking, you can find it by volunteering. Just volunteer, and see, until you see where it fits. That helps a lot. I found also, even with me coming to Christ, how God did it, it was part of my purpose. But I didn't realize it at the time. I had just broken up with someone. It was a terrible breakup. I actually, on his side, I don't even think we were really together. I probably thought we were together, and he didn't. But I was so disgusted about it, and I went to Bishop's office just to talk with him, just to talk. And he led me to salvation. And I said, I didn't come here in this office. This is what I said in my head. I didn't come to your office for this, but I was obedient to my bishop and to the man of God. And I accepted Christ in his office. And my whole world started changing after that. Little did I know, I didn't realize it. And so at the time, I was fornicating. I wasn't abstinent. I wasn't saved. And even some who are saved still, slipping and dipping sometimes. But so at that time, I had to stop all of that because my life was changing or had changed. And so God used that for purpose for my life. And to encourage others about abstinence, and it's not just for a 13 and 17-year-old. It's for the 40 or 50-year-old too, if they're not married. So so God used that in a sense, the way He led me to salvation, to purpose, and I'm still walking it out and finding more and more what He wants me to do. So purpose is so important, but the way to find it, I believe, is partly volunteering and just seeing where you fit.
And I would say too, really self-care and taking care of your mental, not just your physical health, but your mental health, and loving yourself. I found my identity when I not got saved, but when I got filled with the Holy Spirit, and I began to allow the Lord to just work on me and show me myself. And then I was able to I don't like that part of me. And so that's why I love I'm single and satisfied, but because you have the benefit of just focusing on you and God, of course, and then you know how to make yourself available to other people when that time comes. So just taking care of yourself.
That's good. Anyone else want to add to that? Or?
I was looking, Robin just told me what purpose meant. I said earlier, 2 whole people get married. If you're looking for someone to fulfill you, you shouldn't get married because it won't last. Or someone's not going to be fulfilled. Yeah. Because you don't complete, a mate does not complete, a mate complements, a mate encourage. And so whatever your purpose in life is, you should be living your purpose. If it's ministry, be in ministry. Right. If it's corporate America, if it's volunteering, whatever brings you joy, you should do that while you're single. Because when you get married, you bring joy to it. And what happens is, we talk about being divorced, when you wait for someone else to bring you purpose, when they leave you, your whole life is gone. And you want to jump off the bridge. So it's very important that you have purpose and fulfillment as a single person. And so we said earlier, what attracts people? If you're living in your purpose and you have fulfillment and joy, it does turn out here.
That's good from the senior That's good from the senior. That's that wisdom from the old man. That's that wisdom and gray hairs.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left, and we were going to end this. The last 10 minutes, we'll talk about this thing here. Shay and I came up with a theory.
I don't know if I wanted to tell them it was our theory because they may not like it.
Okay. Anyway, you go ahead and share it.
Well, I don't even know if 10 minutes is going to really be enough time, but it's the 2-point dating theory. In general, you should not date more than 2 points above or below your number on a scale of 1 to 10. Reason, it creates insecurity in the relationship, which can lead to lack of trust, infidelity, abuse, and overall stress in the relationship. There are ways for men and women to move up in the scale.
Or down.
Okay, or down in the scale.
But I'm a 10, and really I'm a 4. So that's the problem, isn't
Right,
it?
and that's the thing. You have to be honest with yourself. Where are you? And I did an unofficial poll on Facebook, and I was surprised at the results. Most of the votes went towards Method Man as a 10.
Yes, indeed.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
Lord.
ladies.
Abby, I know you're watching.
Method Man.
A washed-up rapper.
A rapper. And I think Sanaa Lathan, was she number 1 for the...
Yeah.
Oh!
Sanaa Lathan, yeah.
Sanaa Lathan was number, she was like
She's
a
rated
10,
a 10.
Yeah, amongst the men, right?
Tate.
So if you're judging yourself against that scale, if we're being honest with ourselves, and I've learned this from my own dating history, trial and error, but so men can move up through salary and earning potential. He's a 5, but he makes $500,000. Now what is he?
That's an 8 for most people are 10.
You see what I'm saying?
He's a 10 to me, and I don't roll that way.
He said $500,000. He went up the scale.
He went up. He added tax.
And women can move up if it's something, because men are visual people, if it's something as far as maybe just toning better or getting a healthier weight and increasing femininity. Is that true, ma'am?
I mean, it helps.
It helps.
I'm married, so I'll let the single brothers answer.
Increasing, like, okay, so we were talking, it seems like, in what I'm hearing on social media, men are, I guess they have an issue with the lack of femininity within the black woman culture.
Oh, that's good.
So the more feminine you are as a woman, the more attractive you are to a man. Is that true?
All right, Robin.
I think he was asking the men.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Okay.
Absolutely.
I dated some feminine women with bimbos.
Well, no.
No,
We're
no.
not
I
saying that's the only thing.
No. What I'm saying is, I think it's you do want. I don't want us to compete for who's in charge.
No.
But I also think some guys are attractive to intelligence, and you talk about money. Don't bring me no broke. That quote y'all use. I tend not to want to date women that are broke.
Right. Well, you're at that age where you can afford.
No,
to
but
do
I
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't date broke women back then too often. If she did not have money, I promise you, she had other things that I found extremely attractive.
Right, but what did it take for you to find, like that made you want to find out more about her, to find out there was other things about her that was more attractive?
They were.
To get you through the door.
Normally when I date a woman, she could hold her on.
That's weird.
She didn't need me.
Hold on.
She wanted me.
Right.
Ooh, somebody told me that once. Ooh, somebody told me that once.
I think that's the key point.
Don't
a
need
lot
me
of
and want
people are out here saying, I want you to need me. It's like if you go into a store, you see a wall full of water bottles, just you any kind of water you want, right? I want Fiji. Each time I come into the store, I want Fiji. So I'm going to take this one. So it's in dating and trying to find someone, it's the same thing. You always should want to be wanted more than needed, right? Because out of everyone in the world, I will always choose you, right? So even in I think in being feminine, everyone on the stage said, I want someone that's going to be feminine, right? But I think from each man that was feminine was something different.
Something different.
Yeah, it is different. I think maybe, and you can just answer this or piggyback off of this, maybe just the general term of femininity. They carry themselves like a lady. They're not, right, it has nothing to do with maybe, and it's not being overly submissive where she can't think for herself. It's just someone who knows how to be a lady and enjoys being a lady and not trying to be a man.
I always thought femininity was power. It was very powerful to me. That's why I was so attracted to it.
Strong woman.
And because one thing that attracted me to my wife was her, when I saw so much femininity in her walk. And I think women sometimes don't understand the power that the femininity can have. I will do anything I can for my wife because she is submissive and because she's feminine. But there are times where, now just because she submits to me does not mean that I always have all the answers. Doesn't mean that I'm always the leader. There are times where I don't have the answer. There's times where I don't know what to do, and I have to go to her and like, hey, look, you got to take the head on this because I don't know what to do. Doesn't make me feel like less of a man or like I don't know, I'm not the head of my household. It's just that I don't know everything. But when you have, and also because of her femininity, she can get anything she wants out of me. She knows she can. Just with the femininity, there's not a lot of arguments, not a lot of stress. With the submissiveness, there's power in your submission. And I think a lot of women don't understand that. She can get anything she wants out of me because she just doesn't give me no static. So I work 2 jobs if I have to try to give her everything that she wants because of her femininity and because she submits to the vision that I had for my family.
We got kicking y'all
Submit
off.
to the vision. That was good.
Single. We are single.
I think women need to understand the power. There's power in femininity and there's power in submission.
Yeah, I love
and you're being told different. You're being told different. And,
We are being told different.
And especially black women, we don't have time to mess around and follow the other agenda. But black families are being torn apart. And we're seeing so many single black women who are 40, 50, 60 years old and never been married. And I think the message that's being told to our people is damaging for us. And we don't, and men too, men also. We have a lot of black men that don't want to step up and be leaders. They don't want to take care of their children, support their families. They're afraid of that commitment. They're afraid of being committed to one woman because they think they're gonna miss out on something better. When the best thing for you might be right in front of your face. So I think singles need to, and just my, like I haven't been single for almost 20 years, but it seems like sometimes singles need to get out of their own way. Just get out of your own way, and stop fighting biological. There's things that God put in us just biological, and you're not gonna educate it away. You're not gonna reason it away. You're not gonna Facebook it away. You're not gonna Kevin Samuel it away. Like there are things that God just put in us that are that's just why they are. And we've got to accept that. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Good.
I don't think I am, but I could be wrong.
That was good, Elder. That was good.
You're not wrong.
Well, that's about our time.
That's all I got. We want to thank you all so much. Let's give the singles a hand. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Evans, Lady Evans, for having us and allowing us to host tonight's family emphasis night on singleness. And thank you all so much, and thank you all for coming, and God bless you all. Thank you.
God bless you and good night.
You all did awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I want y'all to know that y'all got one of the highest ratings we've gotten since we've been on for the Family Enrichment Emphasis Week. So our host, outstanding job to our host.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we could have really went in on
Nice.
that.
Can we
That was
give
good.
our production team upstairs,
Thank
Chris and BJ, a hand? BJ, you did awesome. We are so proud of you. What? And hold them to it.
Won't be a lot, but it'll be more than you got. Are we still on? Or we shut up? know I'm bad on.
Oh no, it's gone.
Yours still live.